So without further ado, Professor.
Good afternoon, friends. So welcome home. This is your home. Well, my position here is speaker, but actually also your host, because this house belongs to NUS. There used to be a very long story about this house. It used to be a maternity clinic, but the whole history of this building has been put in the exhibitions in the front room. So later, if you have time, you just walk around and see. You want to feel, go up and go around this building, you're welcome. But if you feel anything strange, just let me know. Because I'm collecting stories. I'm collecting fact. And the fact is not just a tangible fact, but also intangible fact. So that is precisely what I want to try to say here this afternoon, in these new slides. Well, when Bharat asked me to be the speaker, I gave him this title, but he said, no, we don't want to use the word mongrel because it will offend someone, certain groups of people in Melaka. I say, well, I'm not talking about Baba Nyonya, whatever. Next door is Baba Nyonya, mine. Yeah, it's part of Melaka culture. Heron Street used to be Heron. It used to be, well, that's a Dutch name, but actually it's nothing to do with Dutch. But it's a filthy rich Chinese that's living here. And why they are so rich and so cosmopolitan? Because they have direct access to Melaka streets. You need to pass through the custom anyway. Just go in the back door, in, out, you bring opium, you sell whatever. Yeah. In fact, those Chinese in that time become rich not because of legal trading, but it's also trading human trafficking and also opiums. But this is not being written clearly. So it's not about stories, actually it's hidden. So what is the definition of Peranakan? Are they Chinese and Malay? That is the official account. But if you read a bit about the report from Holland, Dutch, saying that actually the Dutch imported girls from Bali and Batak to come to Melaka for the contributions of the coolies here. Because they're all males. So in order to maintain peace, you need women. And this women is imported from places that are pork eaters. Yeah, because it's Malay, then it's Muslim. They cannot eat pork. There's a problem, right? So Balinese eat pork and Batak eat pork. So that's fine. So probably the so-called Peranakan is the descendant of these Balinese and Bataks. It's not really Malay. There's a lot of speculations floating around. So that's why I'm more comfortable to use this word mongrel, because during my talk in Jalan, I think 2-3 years ago, it's in YouTube, so you can just Google it and you can find this. I use this term to describe who am I. I'm a mongrel. Why mongrel? Because mongrel is the most resilient race in the world. Because we met anybody and we get married to anybody, just like our ancestors did in the past. No pre-arranged marriage. You just come to a place, want to stay there, find women there, make a family there, adopt whatever food, whatever customs, and make it your own customs, your own food, your own culture. So we are just hybrid, and because we are hybrid, we can survive. Not like German dog. The German dog needs special food. So for me, the so-called culture, Peranakan, Nyonya, mongrel are all ideological concepts. In reality, in real life, we are the same. We are the same. Okay, let's start with this. Next. Okay, so also the second title. Well, the first title is The Future of the Past of Melaka, but I always tempted to use the first title, The Past of the Future of Melaka. I mean, whenever I came back to Melaka, I feel sad, because one or two building is gone or changed. It's like going to funeral. And Melaka is lost the original soul. even compared to 20 years ago. Not even one generation ago. The feel is different. The people are the same, yes, but the place has changed so much. Next. Even my favorite hotels, because it's the easiest place to stay, I always use luxury coach from Singapore, from Comfort Hotel direct to Equatorial, but it will disappear. I don't know what kind of form that will happen next June or July, but it's already belong to the government, so it's not belong to the former owner anymore. And then next. And this was taken in 2009, Kampung Bunga Pantai, 2009. Of course, you know what happened there. But that's happened. I met with this uncle and he cursing the government, cursing shore organizations, cursing the developers, saying why they don't let us stay here, why they have to mess up with this place. Just now, this morning, my bus always passed the Swiss hotel, whatever there. And you see that huge big temple behind this place, one of the most important temples in Melaka. It's the marine temples. The military, the naval temples, the naval gods of the Chinese Armada. And the courtyard with the big trees. Now it's reduced into a very tiny renovated temple, very close to the hotel. Yeah, and even more sad when you see all that Portuguese chapel. From the street, from the Kampung Mountain, you still see a bit. It's very fast. But before that, it's become like a garbage bin, fresh from the food court. Now it's a bit cleaner. But you won't know what happened to that site because it's already, something will happen. Okay, so I feel very sad when I saw these pictures in 2009. Okay, and it's gone. And especially the Dato here near the trees. Next. And the thing is that all this so-called Melaka history, official history, is based on fake news. Even before Donald Trump used this. We only use this kind of narrative. For example, from I don't know whether this is still active or not, Melaka.net, even government website used the same story. During the peak of the Melaka Sultanate, Sultan persecuted the Princess Hanlipo, China Emperor, many tombs dating back to Ming Dynasty, Bukit China. Just now, Joe showed me that small things. It's called Hanlipo. Right? Okay, next. Another fiction, Sampokong Temple, constructed in dedication to Emperor Cheng. That temple near the graveyard, near the Bukit China. Of course, we have all this story, right? Fish mystery place itself against the damage hull, preventing the ship from taking water. All this urban legend is put officially in the tourist publications, in the government websites, and even maybe in the school books. And how they teach the tourist guide on the bus. Every time the tourist, because if you come from Singapore, the bus must have a guide, and the guide keep telling these stories over and over again. Okay? And then some say that the face of Mahachu at Guan Yin in Cheng Temple is the face of Queen Victoria. You know, all these stories, right? It's become like truth, but it's all alternative truth. Okay? So it's before Donald Trump, the Melakan are the masters of the fake news. Okay, next. The King well, Hanlipo well, Perigi Raja. Is that even good, eh? Hanlipo and Perigi Raja. Even they put date here, 1459, under the royal command of Sultan Mansur Shah, Hanlipo, whatever, blah, 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 okay. It's from Melaka, Gulf, Malaysia, okay. The next. Bukit China, Chinese empress arrived with Princess Hanlipo. She was sent to Melaka by the emperor to marry, blah, blah, blah. Bukit China is the largest Chinese cemetery of South China with many of the tombs dating back to Ming Dynasty. Okay, Next. And this is actually is the source. if you want to find the original source, where all this fake news came from, you have to refer to, well, at least Malay annals. Even Malay annals is not just 100% can be trusted because it's also constructed story. It's same like in China. If you see the record from the Ming Dynasty or whatever, the writer cannot say whatever the truth is because the emperor will cut his head if he's saying something that is offending the emperor. Same here. But here, pada harapan raja ditetapkan Sultan Mansur Shah putus ke benua Cina, maka unsur pakai putih pun terbilang. Ini Pak, dihentikan di rumah Perdana Menteri yang bernama Li Po. So it's the name of a prime minister in the guest house in the capital of Nanjing that received this entourage from Melaka and then stay at Lipo house. Hampir 5 hari, maka masuklah Lipo dan segala orang besar-besar menghadap Raja Cina. Okay, so it's Lipo, it's from this. And then another chapter. Setelah datang ke dalam, maka Sultan Mansur Shah pun terlalu heran melihatnya. Putri Hang Liu. That is not Hang Lipo. So it's two facts mixed together if the story is true. Putri Hang Liu, anak Raja Cina, maka bersulap dan masuk Islam. This is big stories. And then maka segala menteri Cina yang 500 disuruh dia ke Bukit Cina, itu pun maka dinamai Bukit Cina, datang sekarang ialah berbuat berizin Bukit Cina. This is the source. But even the source itself is questionable. Because you can't find any record from the Ming Dynasty. And we know the Ming Emperor, the Ming Dynasty has a very detailed report on everything. And it's not there. But doesn't mean it's not true, because maybe the text is burned, gone, because the Ming Palace has been on fire several times. But you have to cross-check with all the sources from Portuguese, from the Arabs. So oral history is important, not just Malay. Because Melaka is not just belonging to Malays. This is always an open port, very international. So therefore, the information, data, story is being spread all over the world. If we combine this chronicle of Melaka according to Chinese and Malay sources, well, let's run through this. 1324, Melaka was mentioned in Javanese poem, Majapahit. So at least the name Melaka has been in Majapahit before, in 1324. Next. And then 1360, Melaka was mentioned as a list of Siamese dependencies. So it's in the Ayutthaya court. It's already mentioned the name Melaka. Next. And then, of course, the story of Parameswara expelled from Singapore. So it's not run away because he just murdered someone, the dependency of Ayutthaya, it's in Temasek. So that's why he was fugitive, he's a criminal. So he came here from Singapore and came to Melaka, dependency of Siam in 1393. 1403, this is another source from Chinese, it's from Mahuan. Melaka population was around 2,000. So the railroad compound was built on the hill near the harbor on the mouth of Melaka River. Rumah panggung clustered at the base of the hill, another settlement developed on the other side of Melaka River. There is no king nor kingdom. So according to Chinese source, they don't see the ruler of Melaka as a king. Because Melaka is just a facade, it's just a dependencies of bigger kingdom. And it may be Ayutthaya. Because Ayutthaya rules is coming from the Kelantan, Terengganu, and the East Coast, going down even to Temasek. So Melaka may be part of this Ayutthaya realm at that time. Yeah. Next. 1405, Parameswara is the main one. Parameswara was appointed as a king, but the seal was seized by the Siamese. Okay, so if you believe this version, means that yes, the Ming Emperor trying to win some favor by giving him a title, but the seal was taken by the official ruler, the real power here, which is the Siamese. Next. And And then second missions, the tribute and present to King Emperor, where he asked for protection. He wants to be free from Ayodhya. So that's why you need a bigger boss. And he looked at China to be one that can give them protection. Thanks. And then of course Jalan, as was said, visited on the third expedition to Melaka, reporting its ships after 2 days voyage, and presented Parameswara with official tablet to raise the status of Melaka. So it's part of the political game. This is the one belt, one road of the 15th century. It's happening again now. It's just a repeat of history. Same, right? Okay, nice. And Parameswara, or Iskandar Shah, or Alexander the Great, because it's also a funny translation. This is a Parsis, Iskandar Shah, of Alexander the Great. And this name has become a very popular name for the kings, even in Southeast Asia. So you choose a title, it's nothing to do with Islam, right? It's something to do with the Greek heroes. Next. 1414, Melaka officially accepted Islam as a formal religion. So it's getting very late. 1414. Next. And Cheng visited Melaka on the 5th expeditions for 17. Cheng visited Melaka on the 7th or last expedition. Cheng died and was buried in the Indian Ocean in 1433. So he's in his trip to Qatar actually, but he failed. So if in Surabaya there is a mosque set up by the Chinese Muslim and called Haji Muhammad Chengbo, is a fake news again. Haji is his father, not him. He failed to be a Haji. He died in the middle of Indian Ocean. If you go to Yunnan and somebody claim, oh, this is the graveyard of Cheng, it's a lie because he was buried in Indian Ocean. So when a Muslim died before sunset, you have to bury the body. And you cannot just keep the body for months until you reach the land and then back to Yunnan. It's not possible. So maybe that graveyard, the tomb of Cheng is a fake tomb. It will be just relics, maybe shoes, hair, toes, whatever. It's representations of I go to Semarang, for example, there is a cave in Gunung Batu saying there is a cave for Cheng. Actually, it's not. Cheng never landed in Semarang. But only his one of the followers, because the ship is broken. The name is Hong Kim Hong, the Hokkien. And this Hong Kim Hong is the one who set up a small temple inside the cave just to remember Cheng. So, and then, finishing, Cheng wrote in Sing Cha Sing Lan, the people of Melaka are rather dark in skin, but those who are fairer in complexion are the descendants of the Chinese. So you can see all these two different groups of people. Yeah? So the descendant of the Chinese is not Chinese. It's OCBC. Orang Cina bukan Cina. Because it's already assimilated. And some as very, very OCBC. It's become dark skin. Okay, next. According to Malay annals, Sultan Mansur Shah married Princess Ayu. But this has never been mentioned in any Chinese chronicles. Okay, next. Mahwan wrote in Yeseng Lan that Melaka was visited by Chinese merchants. Next. A Chinese traveler, 1537, wrote in IE about Melaka before the rebels of Portuguese. Pork was eaten by the Chinese who live in Melaka. So they are not Chinese Muslim. Yeah, they eat pork. They live in a hotel. Hotel is a rental house, shop house, something like that. And the chief of which always sent female slaves to serve them and send the food and drink morning and evening. So the boss, it's not the pimp, it's the boss of those workers. Actually, is lead them with all these basic needs, including women. And it's translated by the Dutch on another source. We learn from the Dutch POC archive that this woman actually is coming from Bali and from Batak, from Sumatra, not local race. Maybe you need to do some DNA test somehow and see whether you have connection with Bali or you have connections with people in the Toba area. And this is according to Portuguese source, the Melaka Sultanate. There are 4 Shah Bandars Chiang Bandar is a port master. He's the governor and whoever, manager of this place, were appointed to that administration of justice in the case of foreigners. One of these was a Chinese. The second Sultan of Melaka, Sri Maharaja, married a daughter of the captain of the King of China. So maybe this Han Liu is the girl, the daughter of Kapitan China, your ancestor, Joe. Right? One of the Kapitan here, right? And they have a daughter and they married the local king. That may be the more logical explanation. And because the Kapitan China was appointed by the Emperor of China, then people assume actually this girl is also daughter of the Emperor of China. And this real daughter of the Emperor of China, the surname cannot be Han. Right? Ming, Bing, whoever. There is the name of the Emperor of China. So Han is a local name. Han Chuan, Han Cepat, Han Lefiu. Chu, right? Chu. So every Chu. Yeah, so that must be the name, right? It must be that name. And Chinese merchant in Melaka has been ill-treated by the Malays, and when the Portuguese attacked in 1511, the 5 Chinese junk present at the harbour and the Chinese merchant of the city all sided with the Portuguese against the Malays. And Chinese merchant in Melaka were helping Superior, the first Portuguese captain to visit Melaka. So, you see China is not dependable anymore, while let's do this with Portuguese. So this is always the power game that the people of Melaka, being a cosmopolitan people, has no loyalty to any one of those people. So whoever in power, this is what all. Right? Now China is very powerful than America. Okay, let's go to China. Last time, well, Japan, very powerful. Let's go to Japan. But it's always the mental state of this destination. Next. So this is the fact of the China, right? Joe will explain what this and go straight. Next. So the earliest date of the graves, the stone is still there in the Qingdong temple. The stone, the report. On stone. It's not there. It's 1622, so it's not 14 something. It's nothing to do with Ming Dynasty. Between 1641 and 1795, Captain Li bought the hill from the Dutch for use as burial ground for the Chinese. Yes, it's very old, but it's not that old. Right? It should not be with this 500 princess or decoration and so on, and even overall, Cheng is 15th century. This one is 17th century. It's 200 years apart. Okay, next. And Po San Teng was built in 1795, not Cheng Hon Teng. Po San Teng, not San Po Kong. By Kapitan Chua, your ancestor, for Tua Pei Kong to guard the burial ground. So it's a burial temple. Yeah, okay, next. I think, yeah, this is from your email, so write this. Okay, next. 以后你今天讲什么你变Melaka. Was bought to visit the temple, because the name of the temple turned out to be Po San Teng, not San Ho Kong. And just he stepped out into the front of the courtyard, a wooden plaque in front of the building, dated 1798, states protecting the soul of the deceased. And then President Cheng commented, oh, so this is a graveyard temple. So, the officials from Malaysia tell this alternative story to Jiang Zemin, a very powerful person from China, come to Melaka. And Jiang Zemin, of course, he can read Chinese, when the locals cannot read Chinese. But bravely he told the story. Okay, next. So the temple is not related to Cheng. And that statue actually is not Cheng's statue. It's one kind of the water gods from somewhere, right? It's a homeless god's temple. So if you don't want to become convert, you become Christians, you don't want to keep statue in your home, the easiest way is just to come into the temple now. And because it's a graveyard temple, it's good to keep it there. So at least there's somebody who's taking care of it. And someone put that statue on the main altar because it looked like Yuna. And say Yuna is a Cheng Ho. I personally never believed that Cheng Ho is a Yuna. He was a boy when he was captured by the future Emperor Jalan and brought to the Nanjing port. He was a Muslim boy. So he was circumcised when he was small. So it's not cut. So he can keep his organ when you are in the court, because he has highest connections. His friend is the main emperor. And he's given new name, Cheng. The original name is Ma Ho. And Ma is Muhammad. So this Muhammad Ho was circumcised when he was small. And then become the very good friend of the main emperor. So he can keep his organ. Because during that period, there are two types of Yuna. And his corruption is rampant. Not every Yuna want to chop, so he just pay someone, bribe someone, poor people from outside the palace, to buy the tree threshers. Drive it up and then show to the chief Yuna, okay, it's chopped ready but never check. It's very easy, like, you don't need to open this as long as you pay for the pile of gold. And then they can keep their things, and then the scandal was horrible. So there is a book research specifically for the Yuna in China. And some family in southern Thailand claim they are a descendant of Cheng. And according to report, Cheng Ho's voice is very manly. It's not that easy. So I mean, he's still able to produce something. And he's very powerful general. He's admiral. Right? So, okay, but we have no proof. So, a real story about next. So, fictions. Convinced by the fact that most of the ancient ports are located at the river mouth, it is believed that the ancient Guangzhang could be sited on the present location of Cheng Ho Cultural Museum. Oh, this is a modern one. After 3 years of intensive research, many convincing evidence were found, including relics found in the original house and dug up in the ground, including a well with a very strange design that is claimed as the very high rank belong to high rank officers. Detailed description of the evidence can be obtained at the book Cheng and Melaka, written by Mr. Tan Asset. Okay? This is also a fake story. And there is no such research. There is no digging, it's only demolitions of several shop houses to build the Cheng Ho Cultural Museum. And not just that, also like the tentacles, because he need a lot of space for his business, right? For the hotel, spa, ceramic collections, whatever they did to Cheng Ho. Because he want to capitalize on the 600th anniversary of Cheng Ho voyage to Southeast Asia. And he's a good friend of Gavin Menzies. And you know who Gavin Menzies is? One who wrote a book that Cheng Ho going around the world. And it's not the one who wrote the book. It's 4 shadow writers paid by Bantam Books to create the story. Right? And then it's promoted by Felix TV Hong Kong as a propaganda. And supported by China money at that time, during the Hu Jintao period, to push the agenda of one belt, one road. So that is the truth. And the launch of that book was carried out in Admiral Nelson in London by Gavin Menzies. So Gavin Menzies is never able to write anything. He just had some funny ideas here and there. So actually it's like Da Vinci Code. Right? So when you read that book, you must consider yourself reading Dan Brown books. It's not history. But Bantam book put the category history for that book. And it's attacked by Jeff Reed, my good friend. And Jeff Reed and Captain Summers, who can also testify from Malaysia, for all this fact. And that book actually, 20% of that book was plagiarized from different research, from different people. So all this very scandalous, but Jeff Reed unfortunately was promoted. So you know the story? It's become a bigger political issue because it's involving big names and of course the stories. So this is one chapter from the book, Cheng Organization Museum. The original Guangzhou covered in area approximately 10 acres of lowland opposite the Malay Sultan Palace, shown in the pink map. So someone drew this map and put it in a book, not just one book, but also book in the academic papers. Put in the book with ISBN, but not peer reviewed. And that book is one big volume, published by the committee of the 600th anniversary of Cheng from Yunnan province. And the original book is without a chapter about Melaka. Only a chapter about different countries and written in Chinese. But then he came to China and then offered himself to be a foreign English translator and inserted a chapter on Melaka and put the pictures and this map and everything of that chapter to the English edition. So if you compare these two, original edition and English edition, you know where is the fake one, and when, and who did it. Next. And then you have this architectural representations. Description by Mark I were used to reconstruct the Guangzhou in the design of the facade and interior of the museum. If you read Mark I, he's not an architect. There is no architectural drawing, there is no photograph, there is no sketch whatsoever. Even the description is very, very generic. For instance, a pair of watchtower, drum and bell tower at the front of the museum, just as it described by Mark I in his book, are constructed. It's a lie. If my students did this in the thesis, I failed it. It's F. You know, because there's no evidence, nothing, you know. This is some shit, this one. But because this was written in a paper, academic paper, and published in several books, published by ISEA Singapore, edited by Leo Suratdikata, and the chapter, the introduction of that book is written by Professor Wang Bungu. And Wang Bungu ever checked the content. So using these layers of legitimations, you can sneak in something, and then you can claim. So that is academic crime. Right? And then you have this, and you know what happened to this Tawarikh. It's fined by the city hall, only ringgit per day, and then finally put it down. Yeah? And then you have the terracotta warriors. If you visit the museum after the narrative, it's very offensive. It's very chauvinistic Chinese, one-sided representations of the Cheng narrative. And then this open space is very important marketplace in the past. If you check the old maps of Melaka, is a plan proposed for Cheng Square. So Cheng Cultural Museum proposed to the government to build a replica of Cheng ships. You know, Cheng ships, how big is Cheng ships? You have to build a model, shrink it, put it here. Because if you have fake Portuguese ship there, it's also good to have fake Ming ship here. Unfortunately, this plan is not happening. But instead of that, now you have, you know what? Hapro Cafe, selling air kencing setan there. And it's built after Melaka is listed under UNESCO. So it's a violation against the promise to protect the integrity of this world heritage sites. But nothing is happening. Yeah, because who is the owner? Who is behind that Hapro Cafe? You know that. Very simple. Next. And then we have this Cheng standing there in the starters. So it's nothing to do with history. But every tourist takes selfie, everybody take pictures. So it's become an alternative tools, become closed. Because in the internet, especially the millennial generations, it's not written in a book, and it's in the internet, and you Google it, it must be the truth. They never bothered to go to libraries. All my students did that. So that is the sad things about these millennials, these misinformations, and perpetuated by so-called the social media and also the digital platform. So how to deal with alternative truth? Okay, next. So this is a problem. So stories presented in official publication are not always correct. Exhibits in the museum are not always presenting valuable narratives. Information obtained from internet is often misleading. And heritage is commoditized for tourism money. This is the problem with the tool. Next. So what we can do, okay? First we need to filter noises. The internet is full of rubbish. Tons of rubbish, millions of rubbish. And it's very challenging actually to develop a software or artificial intelligence actually, to separate which one is rubbish, which one is not rubbish. Sort facts from fiction, easy to say, difficult to do. Next. Distinguish history from urban legends. Next. Critically learn from credible sources. Critically, yeah, it's not just take everything for granted. Convey scholastic truths. Next. Educate students and general public to look into history, representations, and political commercial agenda review. Money talks. Okay, so what happened with money in Melaka? What money is done in Melaka? This is the historic mall of Melaka. See the mall on former Padang. Padang is a very important place. The Declaration of Independence before Kuala Lumpur, the year before. It was done there. It's the Philadelphia before going to Washington DC. Right? The Melaka Club is a very historical place when the signatories of the independence of Malaysia was done. And then the Melaka flag, Malaysian flag, and then the declarations is in the Padang. What happened now is become more. And then you have all this speculative development, developing power, the dam, demolition, capabilities and constructions, monorails, it's all happening in the historic mall. Next. Just give you some illustration. This is one of the proposals I found in Ngee City in Singapore when they just built this. They look for Singapore investors and they produce the brochures. See, this is Padang. And then they say, okay, we still keep some of the Padang on the roof. So you have to climb 4 stories to see the grass, fake grass. And it's extremely hot. And it's not like the original Padang. So you lost the feel. If you want to show your grandchildren what is Padang this look like during independence, go into that under this UFO and you see all the narrative. Or you go down into the former bastions when they built that building, they dig and they found in very important archaeological remains, but suddenly they just open up very quickly. They don't want to be stopped. So there's a lot of things missing under the concrete. And then they use it as a Chinese restaurant, remember? And use that very important Portuguese bastion as a fish tank, fish pond. And now it's become nothing. Very difficult to go there, but you have the narrative about the Melaka, right? Yeah. But you can't see it. Okay, next. And then you have this. So you could, just want to show the monorail. This. If Sydney are willing to dismantle the useless monorail, why can't we? This is useless. How many people are really using this? And how many years it's failed? And how many times that the rail is fell down? And how many people trapped in that thing? Why is it keep running using this money? But money with electricity, sucking all the resources. Just for nothing. And then along the construction, how many buildings, how many sites, how many destroyed. Not to mention the permanent damage to the skyline, the historical landscape. And then of course you have this, the contractor and the owner exactly the same like the one built in Sentosa, Singapore. But of course in Sentosa you can put beer, Carlsberg as a sponsor, or Tiger, but not in Malaysia because this is Islamic, right? So you find a name, Tameng Sari. But at night, if you look from distance, from the bridge, in that light, when you see it's a cross actually. It's like this is the cross. It's like a dagger. thrusted into your heart of Melaka. And it's there in the buffer zone. And during the construction, they found archaeological sites there. But they quickly broke up the one with concrete. The foundation. It's too late now to uncover their one, because once the archaeological site is damaged by concrete, that's it. Forget about the history. The next. Okay, so this is what's happening. See how difficult to find this now? It's hidden. This is very important monuments of the modern history of Malaysia. The foundation of the states, foundation of the unions. It's gone. Even the flagpole was shifted because of that funny Pirates of the Caribbean storyline. Right? But there's very important flagpoles when the first flag raising was carried out ceremony. And then you see the city like Venice, like Hangzhou, water city, where you have all the staff work along the Melaka River, still there, in the, I think 20 years ago. But now what happened is become like road walk, because they're inspired with Burki and Paki in Singapore. So Melaka become more and more like Singapore people. You have Paki and Burki. You have Singapore Eyes, then you have Malaysia Eye. You have Marina Barrage, then you have Dam Barrage. Okay? You have the Nicole Highway, the bridge, so we have also the bridge. You have integrated resort, and you have Casa de Rio. So the template is Singapore. And the river is blocked. It's not live river anymore, it's a dead river. That's why Melaka River becomes smelly and become brownish. And all the lizards died because of that. And the lizard was so desperate, so went into the drain and stuck inside and died. It's pretty an environmental disaster. Why? So that tourist boat can fly up and down 24 hours. You don't need to think about the height. And who owned that ship? Who owned that boat? I don't mention names, but you know. And what happened to the local boats, the community-owned boats? They can't even enter the gate anymore. So it's a cultural massacre. It's extinct. Not just the animals, not just the beautiful and nicely smelled river, but it's all gone because of this development. So, this is the beginning of the constructions. See, there is some water here, but now everything's closed. There's a confusion now. The house, the back part of the house is not intended as a front, as a back, as a jetty. The front is facing the street. But now, there's a confusion, architectural confusion, because the back is become front. Because of the flow of tourists, right? So you must have a restaurant. So it's become very ugly, the architecture. Neither here or there. Of course, not mention the security yet. So next. And then there's even worse, a plan actually where you see this gap. There's a plan to draw pedestrian through bridge like in Holland. And the one who makes sketch is my fellow architect, my friend, Tawarikh. When he was a very good fan of Mr. Tawarikh. It's during the era. And they also plan, including this building, to be demolished, to create walk-through from Kota Laksamana to Jongkong Walk. And you know who organized Jongkong Walk? Right? MCA. And you know the MCA never win election in this part of the city. It's always DAP. So all this become like, the political struggles, the political competitions actually happen in the historic form. So this becomes a war zone. When the last elections, the opposition win again. That's before the new government. However, they reduce the electricity on this export state of this area. So the shop closed before 7. Why? Because they're afraid, because the criminal rates going up. not safe anymore, right? Because there is no lighting. I don't know it's doing on purpose, just to kill, to give warning, okay, don't we give you any facilities anymore. They do not give any protection. Just let this city become a dangerous city. And then vote for the one who can give you safety and security. Next. And Elizabeth Mines came here after the listing. And of course, you know, it's considered as a personal grata in application. After deciding this report. Next. Demolition. Yeah, even it seems like it's not demolished, but actually it is because of the valet parking. This is bought the property, punch it, offer it up, and then it's become a parking for hotel. This is one belongs to hotel for you. Or you widen the bed lanes, and then on that bed lanes you can put the cars. So things like nothing happened from outside, but actually it's following up. So from inside there is a it's project from inside. I'm not talking about bird nest house. So before this boutique hotels, that needs parking space, it used to be a bird nest house. And that also natural disaster because you put a lot of birds and create a cave environment inside the old buildings. They just close all windows with brick, spray water inside, and let the building rotten from inside. So it's become an ideal location for birds to come. Not you, but birds. But some are still opening eateries under the bird house or even hotels. You don't care about the flu, right? So for the sake of money, because the increasing demand from China for the bird saliva. China is getting rich. And it's not just Melaka, it's also in Tawarikh, it's also in different towns, at Songkla, different cities in Southeast Asia. They use even temples as a bird nest house. And I think that Elizabeth Mines highlighted this during the report. And the state government take some actions to some of these bird nest houses, but now still remain some of them. And that is converted into parking, valet parking. And this is the work of a very famous Singapore architects. Just opposite this building. Someone want to build a villa inside the house. And then the architects say, well, let's celebrate ruins. Ruins is romantic. So I thought it's real ruins. But actually it's not. It's a created ruins. So they bring in bulldozer, demolish everything. The building is still alright. It's not as bad as this building before. And they built a steel structure and with a swimming pool, swing, and a yellow box. Now it's gone. Something happened again in that building. Right? So change is happening over time behind the closed door. So within the so-called the UNESCO heritage site, the integrity is lost. You only have the remaining of the skin. The soul is gone. Even part of the body is gone. It's eroding from inside. And who did it? Locals. Of course, there are some foreigners from outside who come here. But who should protect this if not locals? Okay, this map of 1791, look into the site, look into this, all are complete here. The next. And then you have that on your side. Next. And then speculations. This photo was taken about 10-15 years ago. Of retained land. At that time, it's simply a local desire to make money from land. There's no other agenda. But now, this is different. This is my favorite place, where not you are, but kitchen. Last time I can see the sea breeze. But during that time when I visited this place, I eat with sands in my stay. And now I don't know what. So it's become miles on miles on miles of it. And it's happening from Penang to Johor Bahru. The whole stretch. And this will take to this. I'm not talking about this colorful hill or whatever, but if you look carefully, thanks that on this, and who put the signature there, It's China. So it's showing that Melaka has now become a pasar of China, not Ayutthaya. And maybe next door become the Chinese embassy later. Because every prime minister who came to Melaka always go to Baba Nyonya Museum. Maybe, right? Because it's ideal for. And if Malaysia really continue with that plan for the island, maybe you can have a big protectors now. China Navy military base in Melaka Straits, right in your gateway. I hope that project stops because it's not just simply land speculations, but it's also related to security. It's also related to hegemony. It's a repeat what happened like during the Ming Dynasty time. It's during the Ayutthaya time. Okay, so this is what happened to the street before. This is my daughter. This is the real original Tawarikh, the dungeon of the mouth, the Datuk home. Now it's moved, yeah. This has become like a power switch, or telephone switch. Yeah. They change the positions, change the name, the stack is completely gone. Next. So, I was sitting around there. Tawarikh spent here. This is a few months after the Melaka and Georgetown received the UNESCO listing. And this is in Kuala Lumpur, Padang, Merdeka. And then of course you have this carnival, the circus elephants carry the flag, and then present it to Yang di-Pertuan Agong, and then Tawarikh gave a speech. And during their speech, Tawarikh raised Penang and Melaka government to be able to increase the number of tourists coming to this place, 10-fold or 20-fold. And let's work together because the world now recognizes us. You know, a successful effort to turn these two cities into a tourism destination. So I think the main problem is really important. Yeah, to change this place, to sell this place, to prostitute this place. It's become like prostitution. You sell your heritage, you force your grandma to work in the brothels. You bring your grandma to beauty salon to Botox and make her big beautiful. So she can make money for you. You don't care whether your grandma happy or not. Whether it's important to turn your house into brothels. If I want to put it bluntly, our heritage is being sold, body and soul, just to make money. And of course, how many shop house this road? 4. How many shop house? 3 shoppers even demolished just to create this toilet. And it's called World Heritage Toilet. Where all the funny animals and so on. The toilet is very tiny in the back actually. Very little. The bigger part actually is to put this statue. The part of the body is sinking into something back. And then you see all these things, funny things. Traffic jam, you have this funny gate, just erected near Jalan temple. So the Parvati processions, cart couldn't pass to the temple. That is during the Mike Jamasita from National Geographic came to Melaka. He's making the movie, the documentary with the footsteps of Cheng and following the Silk Road. He came here with me, standing in front of the Tawarikh temple, the Indian temple. And then during that day, the cart is too high. We couldn't pass that stupid gate near Cheng temple. So they have to turn to change the direction, the circumambulations to other directions. And that day, a big storm actually is disturbing the processions. Why? Because Tawarikh failed to meet up with Wali. And the sky was angry at that time. Right? So you invoke the natural disasters, the spiritual world, because of the stupid, you don't really understand what is the value of heritage, intangible value. The procession is going on for generations. Has to be sacrificed just because of that stupid thing. Now the gate's gone, right? So it's okay, so no procession is next
New
week.
one came back.
Another one.
Another.
Okay, I don't want to talk about that. Okay, next. Yeah, so Alex Cheng, all of this is part of the my corporate t-shirt. So if you look carefully to UNESCO is about education, scientific and culture, and no work tourism there. So the aim of UNESCO to list these possessions into the list is to keep it as a textbook, as a library for the next generations. So you have to keep the integrity. And to keep the integrity, you have to promise, because it's something by the state, that the state promise that we want to keep this legacy for the next generation. Not to sell it, not to destroy it. So that's why the state have to open the UNESCO office here to check whether there is something wrong, okay, to manage the site. But the office, the UNESCO office in Melaka is shut down. And some discussions say, wait, it's better to delist Melaka completely. Why? Because it will, what? Create troubles for investment. Create troubles for developers. It's not compatible with one belt, one road initiative. So, it's being abused by the state. The state is the one most responsible for this. They already promised UNESCO, ratified in the law, regulations, country laws, that we promise to the world to keep this, that is not done. It's not done properly. Next. This is the reality, okay? This is the translation of a map used by Cheng. You see all these coastal cities around the South China Sea. Next. It's very cosmopolitan, nature of Melaka, because there are several possibilities with the name of Melaka. It's not just three. One is Pokok Melaka. Second is probably the trees, according to the fruits. Okay, next will be Amalaka, sour taste from Sanskrit. Another one probably Malaka, or the mud, Arabs. Or Mulaga, meeting place. Yeah, so many things. And then you see all this evidence all over the place. The mosque, Hakka temple, Chini shrine, Islamic tomb, Machu Kuan Yin temple, Islamic tomb, mosque, Topikong and Datukung, Topikong and Datukung, Topikong and Datukung. Both Topikong and Datuk, right? The harbor, the river, all are there. Okay, next. We used to have this. This is on the former side of, well, now it's Casa de Rio. And it's not open to public now. It's locked. You have to go into the lobby to be able to access the tree. The tree is out there. The cup, the front. And then they swing this temple. It used to be a very big temple. It's a tiny temple. And it's not possible to cross the temple from outside. Yeah, it's very difficult to go into the temple. Yeah, you have to cross the plant just to pay tribute to this. So this is the original photo, original goat is all still there. This is more original than that one, because it's definitely fake. This one is real one. But it's all gone. Where all this wood go during the construction? During that time, nobody bothered about this. And if you dig this site, maybe you can find a lot of evidence even from the Holy Roman Empire or from whatever, from Aceh, from the old Melaka Kingdom. Next. And of course, we still have this. Next. All this evidence. For how long? I don't know. If suddenly the temple committee decided to redo this building and make it like roof like Putrajaya. It's already happened in many mosques. Right? After Putrajaya, you have all this papaya shaped roof. And then just plug in into the roof to make it more like Silk Road. Because you have it in Mongolian or the Shunu. So there's nothing to do with Islamic architecture. Kuanggung Temple in Tengkera Pantai. I don't know whether it's still there. Kuan Yin Temple in Tengkera Pantai. Machu Temple in Tengkera Pantai. Mosque This looks like it's still there. There's a lot of evidence here and there, you know, from the original Melaka, the authentic Melaka. It's all around the place. Next. Even the plan. This is the original typology of the Melaka house when I did my research in 1992. 1992. Now I think it's become a chicken rice ball shop. They demolished the wall, demolished all this evidence. Okay, next. Even a very long house. I don't know which house is this. I still keep this house, the slides of this house. But they may be changed. And also the intangible heritage, yes, all these things may be still around. Next. Yeah, still around, hopefully. But it's everywhere. So there's a tangible, intangible heritage. So significant of Melaka as World Heritage City is a hybrid cosmopolitan city. It's a mongrel, mix of everything. As part of global and regional trading networks, and it's a place of mixed culture, meeting place, melting pot, hybrid fusion, intermarried, whatever. Mongrel, hybrid. We have to accept that as a fact. If we don't accept this as a fact, then it's big global. And then you start to create another construct, ideological construct on top of this. Destroy all these things. If you make the next generation believe on the new story, you make all the tourists coming to Singapore believe the fake news and the fake stories. That is the biggest sin to our ancestors. Because we only temporarily occupy this place. We will die, right? So we have to give this heritage to the next generations. And we should keep this intact. Okay? So what to do? So it's like palimpsest. It's like layers of layers of layers. It's not just whatever you see now is the truth, but everything that is unseen, historical layers, is all there. You just lie together all the old maps into one few layers using AutoCAD or SketchUp or whatever, Photoshops. Very simple software, or even GIS. It's very easy actually to identify which one, elements, street, components, trees, hills, Tawarikh, whatever, longkang. It's been there for 500 years, or 200 years, or 300 years. You can get an animations of a city like organic from babies into adulthood. You can identify the cancerous cells, the propelling cells, or the healthy cells. It's very easy to do that. Next. Okay, next. So if you do that kind of palimpsest of layering, you will find there's a lot of significant sites there, the pink area. I did this in 2003, 5, with students from Japan, some volunteers in Melaka. You still keep the infantry. This is the first infantry, comprehensive infantry of Melaka. And we asked the same questions that we did with Melaka, in fact, using the butterfly diagram, whether it's significant or not significant to everybody. We walk all streets, and we find out that actually this is everywhere, while the designated UNESCO World Heritage Core and buffer zone is not compatible with that. This is the reality. This is the one who are imposed by the expert who put up the dossier. The team by Yaya Ahmad and his friends. And then before that is Johannes Widodo and his friends. Well, they are experts. And then approved by the state. And the state made it official. So this is the buffer zone. And this is the historic core. Outside that is not important. You have to protect this. You can do some changes here. You can do whatever you like. And this has become law. Formal regulations. And until we change that law, it's impossible to protect all these things. Sentra Pantai, Bunga Raya Pantai, that's why it's all gone. Kampung Portugis, it's all gone. Why? Because according to legal aspect, the investor done nothing wrong. And if the state intended to happen, they can sue the government. So the only way is to change the law. to change the master plan, the management plan of the city, officially. So we need to work together with the politicians, with the MPs. Yes. So we did this. So I will not explain a lot about this, but we try to do the same thing, but it's more intensive than 2005 project. Because that time is analog era. Everything has to be done by hand, photograph, stick one by one. So you keep that document done, that is very important. We have no time to digitize that. Now is a digital age. We have all the tools. We have very good support from Raza. We're expert. We use GPS, we use all the GIS and so on. We use drones. But we still have to walk every street, working together with volunteers to speak with everyone. Just to put into the category of everything. So we don't put, say, only the iconic buildings. We're also interested in residential, commercial, eatery, cemetery, school, abandoned even, vacant, car park, education, field, hall, temple, whatever, even no data. And then we put colors. Just simply say, very significant, category A. Is there significance beyond Melaka? It will be national or international significance because of the narrative. Site that is significant for Melaka, which is a community local, more like national significant, and the less significant but still significant for the local community. So we have red, we have yellow, and we have green. Next. So we have all these colors. This will be made public in a certain point of time after the finish of this project. Public should be the advocate. Public should be able to contribute more and also to be able to correct mistakes. In this flat world, information is the key to democracy. So you can manipulate politics, if you make the information secret. And according to e-commerce principles, we're saying that information has to be free because this information is belong to the people. So the people is the right owner of the information and the data. So yes, next. So you have this all category A, B, C, A, B, C, A, B, C. So you see more in detail which one is A, and you want to know why this is important, just click this. And you have the story, you have the pictures, you have the report, the video clips. And of course it can be changed to green or yellow. Or the yellow can be upgraded to pink. Yeah, it's very dynamic. Why? Because history is a dynamic one. It's not belong to just one person. The more that we know, the more precise that we are able to determine the significance of this. And urban planning, management of conservation area, has to have based on these assumptions. That the database is open, that the database is very fluid. Next. And then the evaluation significance, this butterfly model, just very simple one. We just look into the past, the present, and the future from two sides, emotional and rational. Emotional past is memory. Rational past is history. They are two different things, memory and history. History is based on fact, on literature, on reading on stories. Emotional memory is based on the oral history. You talk to people, you remember. And it can fade, fade away. But it can be recorded in different forms, indirect forms, rituals, for example, or practice. Or say, well, this is a haunted site. Right? So there is a way people to keep the intangible memory. Present. You ask people around, how is the condition? This condition is ruined, condition is horrible, means that people doesn't like it anymore. There's no economic relevance. From emotional side, whether they still have love or not. People still love it or not. Although it's crumbling, but people still love it. People still pay some attention to it. So you can see the scale of present and future, whether it can be happiness, whether it's give of universal value. And then you can put the value 0 here, 5 there, and it's like a spider gland. So if the spider butterfly is full-fledged, it's healthy, because butterfly means that site is very, very important. And it's 10, 20, 100, 1,000 people agree on that shape, then it must be a very valuable place to be defended. Right? So we can have this electronically, openly, using internet. So people can participate, take ownership. I want to reduce this wing, I want to add this wing. It's like the Wikipedia. Yeah, you can put your own opinion, but somebody else will edit that. So you can put the butterfly wiki for every site in Melaka. And not just Melaka, in Kuala Lumpur, in Tawarikh Jaya, in Johor Bahru, whatever cities. You can use the same methods. So you can have a more democratic planning process. Next. So the idea is really to make this mapping official. So all this electronic mapping will be put in the digital format and printed format in the official report. So the next step of MIF, Melaka Impact Project, actually to formalize this on the present situation, recent past, historical past, distant past, historical years. Put color coding, put all the facts, all the evidence on the ground, all the public opinions, then give it to the government, to the state. And the state should approve this as a basis for drawing the future planning and development. So if you have the colorful map of the future of Melaka superimposed with the sensitive map of the sensitive sites here, then immediately you can see conflict before something happens. So you can trigger a democratic process for conversations between developers, between states, between the local communities. And then you can reach an agreement, hopefully, through democratic process. Then you can do something, stop the project, or tweak the project, change the design, or forget about the project, whatever. There's a mechanism, legal mechanism that can be triggered by this. So this thing is called HUL, Historic Urban Landscape. And Historic Urban Landscape is recommended by UNESCO to all the state member countries to be implemented in the area that has World Heritage Site. So Melaka actually is tied up by these rules because we have UNESCO World Heritage Site. The state is submitted that site, Melaka, 29. So no choice, Melaka has to have HUL. Otherwise, it's breach the rules. And then the master plan, if there is a conflict, there is a impact assessment. We already have environmental impact assessment. For example, if you want to build a cement factory, or you want to build a nuclear power plant, you must do environmental assessment, right? Why can't we do the same for nature, for environment, for culture? Because in UNESCO listing, we have nature and culture, and all two in one. We cannot separate these one. So if we have environmental impact assessment as mandatory rules, why can't we also ask the heritage impact assessment is also mandatory for all sites, based on the comprehensive mapping, based on the scientific way of doing investigation. Next. Okay, so this is historical landscape. Adopted 10 November 2011 by UNESCO General Conference. Recommendations seek to increase the sustainability of planning and design interventions by taking into account the existing built environment, intangible heritage, cultural diversity, socio-economic and environmental factors, along with local community values. It's comprehensive, top-down and bottom-up, democratic. Next. How it should be done? To undertake comprehensive survey and mapping of the city natural, cultural, and human resources. To reach consensus using participatory planning and stakeholder consultation. What values to protect for transmission for the generation and to determine the attributes that carry these values. So it's about whole meeting. So that's why MIF project made the moving exhibitions. So I asked them to do this in Jalan. You do this in Tenggara. You do this in Kampung Bugis. Just in a kind of exercise of a town hall meeting. So you open all this data to public, the physical public, do a dialogue engagement to make the mapping more perfect. And then to assess vulnerability of these attributes to socio-economic stresses and impact of climate change, to integrate urban heritage values and vulnerability status into a wider framework of city development. So it's not anti-development. We are pro-development, but careful development, responsible development. So it is not stopping someone who wants to invest the land and redevelop the land into shopping mall. Fine. But how to develop that shopping mall? Ask the professional. You know, professional architect, planner, there's many alternatives of different types of design. But before you can do that, you must have a map that shows the sensitivity of the place. And then to prioritize action for conservation and development, to establish the appropriate partnerships and local management frameworks to each of the identified projects for conservation and development, as well to develop mechanisms for the coordination of various activities between different actors, the public and private. So it's called for a democratic process, for a common platform, middle platform, not top down, not just bottom up. Next. How to do this? Very simple, just go to very easy. Next. So, how to keep the real Melaka as real and not fake Melaka for the next 100 years or more? I think we need to have a good urban management plan. First, we must have an empowered community. Community that understand which is right, which is wrong, which is fake, which is true. And you have to be empowered, meaning that you care, and you have the power to understand the knowledge, the sources, to get the news, get the story. And then we must have a sustainable environment, robust infrastructure, cultural authenticity, economic viability, social, cultural, physical continuity. This is the job of the government, to ensure that this happens. We need to speak to the state councils, to the prime ministers, to whoever who run this country, to ensure this. And the fundamental prerequisite for this is ethics. If you don't have ethics anymore, just for money. And then you make everything halal, even make alcohol halal. Well, there's a problem with ethics. You must have a consensus. You cannot just impose whatever you like to someone else. Consensus, democracy. You have to be transparent. We need whistleblowers. We need control. Because people basically cannot be trusted. This is the anti-corruption things. You need accountabilities. No corruption. And number 5, you need empathy. If you don't have this empathy, this fundamental prerequisites, then we just forget about all things for 100 years from now. So I guess what's happening now is because of the erosions of this value. Not just in Melaka, but in all over the world. Conservation is facing challenging tasks because there is loss of ethics, there's lack of consensus, there's lack of transparency, there's lack of accountability, and lack of ethics. And this has become a responsibility of every one of us here, to our children. If you cannot trust in the institutions of the government, the only change that can be made actually in the house with our children. And that is close into your own neighborhood. On a circle of friends. And then the bigger community you see. So 3 words that I think is very important. 1 is really a commitment to do this. 2nd is empowerment. And then make it a movement. So for me, Melaka Impact Project is not just a project. It should become a movement. A movement to bring everybody come together for a good cause, to save this heritage, save the prostitute and bring her home, and make her a proper woman. If something keep her a prostitute, destroy that things that make her a prostitute. That is commitment. If not, you will lose your house, you will lose your family, you will lose your own values. Yeah, because we are talking about ethics. We are talking about values. Right? So conservation is really about values. And the story of Melaka is not just belong to us. Why we bother to bring all these old stories put together, website, Facebook, it's partly because of this kind of things. So the next thing to do, I think at the end of this project, the map should be go public, open to public. The story have to go into Wiki video. The video should go to YouTube. And let people hashtag that as much as possible. And second, we have to inform the educational institutions, the teachers, especially, the tourist guide, the tourist associations. Teach them how to tell the correct stories. Let the local community speak up. Give the voice to the voiceless. Pakcim has done a very good thing. We put everything on the book, but book is dust and collecting dust. And it's expensive book to begin. So we need to have a cheaper way to reach out. I don't mean that the Pakcim book is very important, but we need more books like that. And we need to help people who have books actually to publish on digital format, for example. Make it an open source. Open up everything. Then we can have change and commitment in Melaka. Thanks. Okay, so I thought the important Pontius Pilate who sacrificed Jesus and washed his hands and quit as Caritas. So what is true? It's up to us now. We're talking about Melaka. In fact, actually we are examining our own science. For history. Thank you. Because it's Easter, right? The Easter season. So I don't want to quote Jesus as always. This one is
Hello, testing. Can you give another round of applause for Professor? Now the floor is open for question for Professor. Anybody?
not just question, any statement. Yes.
Can you introduce yourself and yes.
Okay, my name is Bernard. I'm formerly working for the River Cruise. And for me, I love history. Only thing, the problem today, in this area, a lot of aircon in front of the house. All is air conditioned. And another thing, the finger shutters window, and they put a big signboard closing the face of a beautiful lady. So I hope maybe you can help it. That's all. Thank you.
Well, that is the job of the state actually, right? So we already have the rules, the regulations. So I think what we can do is to have meetings with the state. I don't know who, we have new government, right? Hopefully it's a new government. Then we have Pakatan Harapan, it's not just Pakatan Heritage lah. Right? As a Melakan, we have this Pakatan, but to protect Melaka together. In the state, in the private sectors, and also the local people come together to speak up. And then times there is not, we ask for possible meetings. And then we identify all those problems and let the officers, officials take notes. And we want to get to have information about what change has been implemented in the next sessions. So the only things that we can do actually to avoid that to happen is through the law and through the regulations.
Any more questions? Okay.
Hi, thanks for the amazing talks. My name is Karin and I'm a local Malacan. I would like to ask your personal opinion. So if you were to compare Penang and Melaka, I'm not sure if it is an apple-to-apple thing. What difference do you see in the effort? I think it's my question has two parts. The efforts of the authority and whichever committee that is helping to preserve the heritage. This is the first aspect. And the second aspect is the awareness of the locals, in those cities. So what do you see, how do you see the difference in both cities in these two aspects? And also, how do you see the gap? So do you think one is doing better or is advancing better than the other? Or do you think there's no difference? So I'd like to hear the thoughts.
Of course, it's not apple-to-apple comparisons. Penang has its own problems, but also strength. The strength maybe is the movement that is discussed has been there forever. And you have people like Salma, people like... There's a lot of people there who are working tirelessly in different fronts. And even Salma now is inside the government. So she can do something after many years, but still the fight has been very, very fierce. But in the case of Melaka, the so-called heritage trust is very weak. But you have a very strong bond among the community. The Penangese is not, it's more fragmented. Maybe because of the clans, because of this history, and because it's more British educated, it's more smart, considered smarter than us. But Melaka actually is more resilient. Right? You still have these informal conversations. Melaka! But of course, there are different ways of dealing with Penang. For me personally, the thing city doing with that caricatures on the wall is very damaging. Because every city in the region now see that as an example. As bad as Singapore River as an example, template for tourism development. Like the Goki and Klaki. The Think City approach has been implemented everywhere, even Songkla. It's so sad because even the city of Songkla, you never have this confidence that the city is beautifully enough because that caricatures. Why we need to paint everything? It's like a ginju, right? It's a prostitution. It's a tattoos. It's not natural. And then it's getting worse if you put neon light. It's become really like a red district. Well, we also have small red light district here, right? So the walk here, there's a red, and you see all these UFO, but there is a still small scale compared to Penang. But Penang is a different kind of pepper. But they also have development issues. They have also the issue of bridges, public transport, monorails. Melaka is smaller. And you still have more, I think the intangible part of Melaka is really, really strong. But unfortunately, the protections of the intangible, the sensitive place is very weak. I don't know why. How is the politics has been run here? You don't have Sultan. Right? You have a chief minister, you can change anytime, there's elections, and you can still put opposition. But I think we need to do more than engaging the politicians because we need to fed the room with the good information. Give them the balance. Because maybe they're just politicians, they have to do the job. The lawmaker needs credible data, needs credible information. And this is the job of this kind of project, to fed them with the correct information and then work together with them. Forcing all this about the transparency, accountability, all this as a democratic process. I think Melaka can do that. But at least stop this damage from tourism. Stop all the more recycle. What is wrong with the Hello Kitties? Tourists will still use that, fine, with the Hello Kitties because they have loud voices, noises. Yeah.
We have a more question from the lady.
Thank you very much. Johannes Widodo. So when we submitted the one under MAN, we submitted it to a very good mayor, Zaini, and he understood heritage and he appreciated American heritage. So while we have changed Pakatan Baru, Pakatan Harapan, whether we can harap on them is still another question. Because I met the chief minister, he's a very good man. But like the Chinese emperor stories, he's surrounded by bad advisors. and you can submit things to him. And then he says, my assistant, can you summarize this and give it to me? Because he doesn't have time. And it all falls back again on that assistant. Is he a reliable person? Will he be able to portray? I can tell you that 3/4 of the people there are not aware of heritage at all. They are not aware, or do they care for how many people having its history or not? You know, and it's still all about tourism. Our new mayor is going to pedestrianize the place. Is the pedestrianization for the people, for the community, or is it for the tourists? I think the answer is very clear.
Yeah. I think the principle, tourism actually is not our enemy. We need tourist money. But what kind of tourists that we want? We don't want pandemonium. You know what I mean? Pandemonium. We don't care about heritage. Just take selfie, photo. You know, Chiang Mai has been destroyed by pandas because of their story, about the drama. The Chiang Mai University was attacked with millions of Chinese tourists coming to the campus, camping, and so on. Tourism is not, but we can regulate tourism. You know, Bhutan has a good example, for example, by implying a very expensive tourism tax. The most important on the state actually is the amount of money. If the same amount of money can be collected from tourism, but we select only good tourism, and then we protect the city, then we can do better. So we learn from the different contexts that Venice now is in big problems, it's sinking. The rent is going up because Airbnb, so they ban Airbnb. Because Airbnb make rent going up and the local population actually suffering. The lift of the land rent control in the whole part of Melaka actually is the beginning of this disaster. Because you cannot control the price anymore. Right? So you need to do something on this front. And then of course, if you don't trust the government, of course you cannot trust the government. Maybe you can learn from example like a small town in Japan, like Tawarikh in Saitama. It's about 2 hours by train from Tokyo. So, and they have a very old line of street with Edo typology on the street. And the younger generation of the owner of the ship want to come together to form associations. So this association actually is trying to bring in experts, just like movement around the city, and get members from the government officers. It's become like this NPO. And they give advice to everyone who want to build a house, who want to renovate, they want to open a Starbucks. Okay, fine, they come to these associations, and then they will give them advice. It's better you want to open a Starbucks, performance should be like this, that, and then before they submit these drawings into the government. And so the government accepts this group as a partner. We can advise them in terms of aesthetics and so on. And they have power because they have a social sanction. If someone did something not according to the agreement, they give them a social sanction. They become the enemies of the state, or enemy of the communities. And they managed to keep the integrity of Tawarikh for many years. And it's a very popular tourism destination. And maintain the authenticity. Now, the key is not authenticity anymore. E-commerce even have an idea to change the terms authenticity into integrity. Integrity. Integrity means you allow some degree of change, but how you maintain so-called a certain degree of authenticity. And this can be achieved through dialogue, through a group of experts. So you can strengthening the so-called the civic movement. Take the responsibility of maintaining the old Melaka on the hand of the civic organizations, the NPOs. And then work together with the government as a partners. So we are not taking the position of opposition. We don't want to change the government, but we want to help the government to make a good decision. So the people will trust the government more. And the job of the government is to keep themselves incorruptibles. That's it. And keep open to this idea. It can be a stupid officer there, fine, as long as you are clean and you are willing to work together with a goodwill. then with this community support, that is already planted everywhere, it's already existing in Melaka, then maybe we can slowly, keep Melaka as Melaka. I think Melaka power is incredible because you have, this is the roots of all the big families, of the big banks, big monies, important politicians. It's all here in Melaka. Penang is a young state, it's a young city. Singapore is even younger. And everything in Penang and Singapore can be traced back to Melaka. Like you, in the bridge. The book is in charge.
Thank you very much. My name is Martin. I think I totally agree that the Pertahanan government leaders, I think many of them in heritage or in this term of preservation and conservation, I think many of them have no idea. Totally no idea. And basically they are just the more the merrier in terms of tourism and travel. So I think a joint management body kind of thing, where the government must be forced to come to listen to such talks. And then it's only this kind of forum where you can get them at least to listen. I think we have a very good chief minister, he's willing to listen. But we have to reach out to him with this kind of forum, this kind of event. Because
your power of hope.
yes, many of them don't know what Melaka is all about. They are just politicians, they are just there, and hopefully, they want to listen. But if there are other priorities, more than really the passion to preserve Melaka as it is, then we are in a bit of a trouble. That's why we have to educate them. I think it's more educating also the government, not only the people, to see the way things should be done, to keep Melaka as Melaka is. So a town hall, I think all those are very good because you have direct access with those who are responsible. And these are the things I think we have to pursue. We have to keep this thing going because if not, I think from my little experience, many of them don't know what it's all about. So it's our duty to educate them. Yes, thank you.
And also the education fall into the scientific community, universities, schools, scientific organizations, UNESCO, ICOMOS. So through their organization, we can run workshops, can offer CPD, career development point, a program for the civil servants, for professionals, certifications. So we can use the term certification actually is to improve the quality of the civil servants through education, and it will give them also opportunity to increase the salary and the careers. So we think we can do that things positively through many ways, working together with universities to run expertise programs, to run some workshops, and issue a certificate that is approved by the government, approved by the scientific organizations. Then this certificate has a value for them to get better salary and better position. So that's why Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy has been set up in Singapore. Because they want to train people in the region, in the world, actually, about the Singapore ways of doing governance. Right? And also as a way to spread the Singapore friendships and influence.
Sorry. Congratulations for a wonderful talk. I just want to say a few things about how I actually feel. I think it's very important also to think about the soul of Melaka. What constitutes Melaka as a heritage and cultural place is what constitutes the people around Melaka. Because what I see about a few months ago, as an example, I went to one of my favorite shops selling fish balls. You know the Melaka Hepia? There are not many places selling this. But unfortunately, that day, it was his last day in Melaka. And what I see dying off right now, and a major threat is that whether it could be culturally, people making crafts, the paper crafts that the Chinese, they have all moved away from the historic conclave in Melaka. Partly also because of the rent repeal, rental has actually gone up. They find that it's no longer they are able to survive, and they shift away. And along the way, you find that these traders they actually die off, and there you go, that Melaka becomes very commercialized. So I think it's also equally important to think about the soul of Melaka. Thank you.
So you keep Melaka as a family. So how to keep the soul?
That's right.
Right? The same question is how to keep your family together. Although your son maybe is not interested in heritage, only interested in game and gadgets, and your son or your children is more interested in McDonald's or Burger King, but not the chicken rice. It's a matter of how we train our own families, and also within Melaka itself. When the choice of food, the choice of venues, the choice of program, maybe we consciously trying to help the dying businesses. Maybe we're trying to look for locations that is, you consider as a family space. So I think the works of individuals and the works of network, as long as we know each other, it's become very important. Like this center, for example, we are trying to collect all the birth certificates, the copy of everyone, but during Aman time, when we're still alive. So we managed to collect around 50 or 60 birth certificates for people who used to be born here. And the plan is to get them together, come together, just eat and drink and talk. And we record all these stories. And then put these stories into the web, into the internet, into books, into an exhibition or whatever, just to remind them that you come to the same place actually. So this building is not just architectural schools or conservation facilities, but this will become a clinics again for Melakans. But it's becoming conservation clinics. It's more like community clinics. But we are talking about these cultural issues. We're talking about architectural issues. We're talking about urban planning issues. So that's why this center is open to everyone, as long as it's not political. To make this as a common living room. And then to keep all this living room alive. A place that you are having breakfast in the morning, a place that you are having a snack in the afternoon. And keep them alive. Have the business to thrive, and educate our children, our next generation to like them, not only in Facebook, not only in hashtag, but like in terms of eating and value them. That is the thing that at least it can be done by everyone. You are right. We are talking about soul. If not, yes, we are talking about zombies, right? Or plastics, or put it in the announcement that always say you shot the tiger, and then you put plastic inside the tiger to preserve the tiger, and the tiger can stand next to you for 100 years, but that is not conservation. The real conservation is actually how to make the tiger able to produce another tiger. So we need to create a habitat for tigers, to get married, to fall in love, and to produce baby tigers. So we don't make pickles of all the cucumbers that we have. But we want to create an environment of farming that can produce a lot of cucumbers. So if we want to freeze some cucumber into pickles, fine. We can make achar, we can make whatever, but we still have a fresh supply of cucumber. And that is only can be done through families, through schools, especially primary schools, kindergarten. It's too late if you engage JC or secondary school. You have to start to educate the children since kindergarten. So curriculum is important. How we engage primary school kids, primary school teachers, or kindergarten teachers to work together with the families.
We have one last question from Jalan.
Actually, I felt that this presentation should be done to the State Expo, but because I think that is, because listening is also quite sad. It's like we are actually in a quite a dire situation. And the current state government actually I think they are a bit better, I mean more open. So more condensed presentation like this should be done to them. I don't know whether people can have.
That's what my request.
Yes, because that's precisely what is needed. Because right now, here in this space, we are in an echo chamber where everybody here has some interest in heritage, some interest in the presentation. But then to the larger state expo, there's many lobbying groups out there. We are constantly lobbying every day. And it's only not Melaka Tengah, you are lobbying for the Jasin and Alor Gajah. So we have to actually engage with the state expo. That's the only way, because we are a historical zone, we are also part of a larger Melaka state of Alor Gajah and Jasin. So then they have a lot more dire situation of bringing up the other components of rural stuff.
I think that's the intention.
Last question from Lady there.
Hi, thank you very much for the very interesting talk. So you mentioned about good urban management plan, right? All the 6 factors. I'm just wondering how many of us think that we have got an empowered community in Melaka? Raise your hand. Empowered community. Okay. Sustainable environment. Anybody? Robust infrastructure. No. Cultural authenticity. No. Halfway. Okay. Economic viability. Very few. And social, cultural, physical continuity. So I think after listening to your talk, I feel like we have been vetted. The community, the people have been really suffering, in fact. So I think a lot of people here want to do something, but they don't know who to. We haven't found our community. And what you have spoken is very good. Giving us ideas how to, or what is required. So I think it's up to us, right, to come together and to be the big family that you just mentioned.
As a big family,
Thank you.
You organize yourself. I give you the points. You can do referendums. I mean, referendum doesn't have to be formal, right? It's kind of survey that reach out everybody, give the legitimacy. You can use whatever medias, and then tabulate all those feelings, right? So what is the feelings and what is already good, what is horrible, what needs to be changed, and we get agreement along the majority of Melaka, so different races, not just one, but different groups of people. Then it's become like legitimate voice from the people, right? Fox Populi, Fox Day. So you can put in the one of the questions in the referendum whether Hello Kitty can exist or you have to be killed. Whether the red paint on that has to be reversed back to the original historical white. Not red.
We have a second one.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Very well done talk by the matter, in fact, and very knowledgeable to me. For some suggestion just now, as I'm the MBKK chairman here, MBKK meaning that we are the local community regulatory, previous JKK. So we are offering collaboration with anyone of here. If you wanted to do, we can bring your voice into the government agency. For the ESCO, for us, it is still far, but you can start from, local level, MBKK, and I'm here to offer, because I did comment in Melaka in fact page, and this is the first time I'm joining the event. I feel very proud and very great, but of course it must be reached to most of the people, and regardless of religion or regardless of their bahasa, so that they can, like Chinese, they won't come to this kind of, English talk. But if we have more people, different background come and we convey, then it's very good and we can make like a better place. Yeah. So if anyone want to have some ideas, we can have a short one talk after this.
Thank you. Very important. It works for everybody actually. We don't make distinctions between state, non-state, private, whatever. It's a family. So everyone has whatever channels that you have, international link, local links, federal links. We use up that and then work together, kind of plan. That's normal. Not everybody like him. Right? But a lot of people love him. It's normal. We need different characters. Everybody has talents. Like in the family, right? So we have some naughty kids. We have very, very good kids. Some rich, some very poor. As long as you have love, it doesn't matter. Differences make these cities very beautiful. That's why I like the term morals. Because moral doesn't care as long as it's survives. And continue living. Right?
Okay, Prof, the last question.
Prof, thanks very much for that amazing talk. My name is Saida Rastam. I'm from Melaka, in fact. I wanted to ask, moving forward, there are many factions in Melaka, like anywhere else. You suggested that we should get together as a family.
Round table.
But we have actually had many initiatives like that. I think we've attended some here as well, which never got anywhere. In your experience, looking around the world, has there been an initiative, again by local families, which took off? And what were the reasons for that? And how can we emulate that?
Kawagoe that I mentioned just now is one example that the result of the studies and proposal of this community initiative is become law. And they work together with the government as one. So it's part of the regulations. So I think there are many other examples. I think the small scale, big scale, even the city of Penang, for example, right? That people are able to talk to the government and the government will listen to them. There's no other way than we play politics. We need really to engage those people in the power. And we have to realize that the power is limited. I mean, it will change every 5 years or every 4 years, every election. But we have the power of hope to choose our representatives. And we have the power of freedom. I mean, we are free from interest. Well, we are representing many interests, but we can come up with one single, say, proposal, like the HUL, the draft of HUL, that easily digestible by people from the law discipline, from the planning discipline. So I think the next step is really to bring, well, of course we need to go to Expo. We need to talk to them. And we offer this help actually to make a better document. And then continue to do this round table. And even bigger and bigger. So after Tankara, I don't know where. Is it the last one? After Tankara? Kampung Gadat. So we do Kampung Gadat. So first we only 4 or 5. But maybe we need to do a grand kind of exhibitions and town hall meetings somewhere at the middle to combine all this together. We don't even include the historic core, right? We exclude historic core in this project. We're only dealing with the French because it's a more pattern. So because we believe that there is a historic core, at least there's already a law to govern this area, although there's a lot of issues and violations. But the area outside the historic core, in the buffer zone and beyond buffer zone, is totally exposed. So we need, the priority actually is to bring them together first and then combine with the historic core. This place is always open for organizing such a kind of meetings. That is our job as a clinic, right? It used to be the maternity clinic, so we have to act as a maternity clinic. Not just maternity clinic, but to help you to cure your influenza, to cure your wound, to treat the ailments. You have the channels, communication channels, and then organize yourself. In this digital age, is easy. Just use Twitter, you can bring down the government. Let the spring comes to Melaka. Terima kasih banyak.